Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot currently in an Airbus A330 type rating, and welcome to the first flight on the Fenix A320v2. We are standing in Frankfurt and we are going to make our way to Düsseldorf, which is a quick 25-minute flight, and the ILS is reported inoperative at Düsseldorf, so we are going to fly an RNAV approach over there. There is a huge block of changes in the Fenix V2 update, and it's too many for me to cover them all, so I thought the best way of looking into the new update is simply by checking out the airplane on an entire new flight. However, I do want to give you a very quick look, so do have a look into the changelog that you can find on the Fenix website. I am going to put it onto the screen for you for a few moments over here. So this is basically all the stuff they have changed. You can see that it is a huge list. Overall, they said that it is about 1,000 items that they have changed, larger or smaller ones. So things are basically totally new. On top of that, there is new flight computers, and the flight dynamics have also been overhauled. So that is something that I am certainly looking forward to exploring and seeing how the thing is gonna fly now. So that's about it for the introduction. How about you follow me into the cockpit of an early morning Lufthansa A320 Alpha India Papa Sierra, currently standing on gate Victor 143 at Frankfurt Airport. Okay, let's have a seat and let's have a very quick look, get the airplane powered up, and then we are going to do our pre-flight. Okay, so engine master's off, start selector off, weather radar is off, landing gear down, wipers off, battery voltage greater than 25.5. Okay, battery on, external power on, and then let's quickly go ahead and set up the cockpit lights. Okay, perfect. So, even though it is early morning, it is rather warm already, so let's run a quick APU fire test, make sure that that thing works, and then we will probably have to power up the APU pretty soon. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then let's quickly go ahead. Okay, looks like the FMGCs still need a while. Here they are. Perfect. Okay, A320-200 CFM engines database is current. Let's go ahead and request our flight plan. So, flaps are up in agreement with the flap lever. Engine oil quantity looks good. Hydraulic quantity looks good. And the oxygen looks good as well. Okay, perfect. Then let's have a quick look. In 23 minutes we're supposed to go, so that is not all that far off. Mass and balance. First change over here. We can load 180 passengers now, compared to the previous 160 and a bit. So that is quite good for me to see. Now let's have a very quick look into the flight plan, see what we're up to today. And here we go. So, weather is looking good. Düsseldorf is cover K, alternate Cologne is cover K, and Frankfurt is also cover K with light variable winds. Perfect. So we can go with the standard fuel today, and in terms of standard fuel, that is about 4.1 tons. Okay, great. Then let's tell the system we want 4.1. Like so, and that is just about perfect. Okay, load aircraft, and we can take a fast time load on that. So one thing I did notice now is that we've got the 180 passenger seat version. Basically, if you go to zero fuel weight, you can see that in SimBrief it's still 61 tons maximum. Now, there are higher zero fuel weight options available for the A320, and those do come into play here, because if you've got 180 passengers on board, then SimBrief gives you a 23 kilogram piece of luggage for all of them, and that leads to the zero fuel weight being the exact maximum straight from the beginning onwards, without even any cargo on board. So that's something you should consider changing in your SimBrief settings, that not all the passengers carry a 23 kilogram piece of luggage. But by the default settings you have that, so for that reason I'm keeping it in here as well. Alright, cool, then let's go ahead and start our cockpit preparation. Basically all white lights off, obviously. So, refueling is finished. And then we are absolutely full today, so pack flow is going to stay in norm. Then let's have a quick look into the electric page. So, batteries, 27 voltage each. So, off and on again, one by one. And that's going to initiate a charging cycle. And as we can see, they're at 50 amps now. So you can see the batteries are actually charging. Very good. Okay, we also carry a little bit of livestock today, so we are going to turn the cargo temperatures up. And finally, turn on the PA system. Okay, the QNH is 1022. Let's go ahead and set that. Alright, so, something I do just about notice. The displays are all new in the latest update, but look at the clock, for example, and look at the font over here. That actually looks quite good as well, doesn't it? Just something I come across while I'm looking into the direction, while I'm checking the switches are set correctly, and wow, that does certainly look good. Even more so after flying X-Plane for a little while, and, well, overall, we do, of course, know that the graphics in MSFS are undoubtedly better. Okay, cool. So, that is our cockpit preparation completed. Then let's go ahead and do our MCDU. So, today we are going to be the Lufthansa 3 Victor Alpha. Cost index 25, cruising at flight level 220. Let's also uplink the wind as well. Our departure is going to be from runway 25 center on the Maroon 3 Whiskey departure. That's the ANAF version of the Südumfliegung for all the Germans among you. Now the Südumfliegung basically means flying around a couple of cities on the departure. And there's a non-ANAF version, which is the 7 Mike departure, and then there's an ANAF version, which is the 3 Whiskey. And today we want to see how well the ANAF version is going to work. For the approach, we're going to go for the ANAF approach, runway 23 right in Düsseldorf, and we'll take the Domux 23 transition. Okay, perfect. Then let's have a look into the secondary flight plan. There used to be a bug there that you couldn't insert something on the second line, otherwise the entire thing would just delete the flight plan. Let's see if that's got fixed. So, Frankfurt X5, and that is off runway 25 center on a 248 track at 25 nautical miles. Okay, store. It should have brought us back to the flight plan page. Oh boy, it didn't even insert it. Obviously, it should have done that. Okay, let's try again. Oh no. Looks like secondary flight plan is still bugged. Look at that. So, it should just have inserted Frankfurt X5 on the second line, but it didn't. Okay, well, let's try again, and this time we'll just put it after the first waypoint then. That's how it worked in previous versions as well, and apparently still does. Okay, so, hold over there, 240, and we'll take left-hand turns away from terrain, and climbing 4,000 feet. And then we can go ahead and select our immediate return towards Frankfurt for an ILS approach onto runway 25 center. And that is going to be an ILS Zulu. Did you see the order of the approaches over here? That was strange. Let's just go back for a little while. Look at that. Seems like it's taking it alphabetically. That's not what it should do. It should normally give you the runways in order. So it should be runway 07 left, right, and then the X-rays or Zulus and stuff like that. But look at how they're mixed up here. That is not how the Airbus would do it. Well, okay. Anyway, Fenix have said that a lot of things will still be subject to change after the update is released. So let's just take it as one of those. Okay, we also want to draw an extended centerline up here. And that's going to be 248. Okay, perfect. Then we'll also put it into here. And when that is done, let's go ahead and save the route. Okay, why does it say direct over here? And where is my last waypoint? Half the route is missing from here. So let's delete that, try once more. Okay, store active. Okay, that's not correct either. That is not what it would look like. I mean, the route ends at... Maroon, APEC, Ademi, Inbox, but where's Domux? There should be Domux up here, and then a Domux arrival, and the SID should be in here as well. Okay, well, no comment. Okay, then let's move ahead with our performance. Have we got a load sheet yet? Probably even haven't initialized the flight plan in here. How about we do that first? In any case, we can already tell, if we don't have a load sheet, we just do it like this. Estimated zero fuel weight from flight plan, which is 61 tons, that we have up here, and just take 25 for the CG. That's usually what they're aiming for. Ain't perfect, but good enough. And then we need 4.1 tons of fuel. Okay, so flight plan is initialized. Let's see if they're gonna send us some messages in a moment. I do hope so. And then we can go ahead and calculate our takeoff performance. So, Frankfurt, runway 25 center, dry, synchronize, calculate. I just love how easy it is. Pressing 3 buttons, you've got your takeoff performance. Wish it was that easy in real life. Okay, flaps 2, downtrim point 4, 68 degrees, 51, 51, 55. Okay, that is some pretty high takeoff speeds there. Let's take an intersection here, Lima 6. That should change quite a bit. Okay, takeoff speed's a little bit lower, that's fine. Okay, so, flaps 2, downtrim point 4, 2/0.4 down, and 68 degrees. Oh, 67 degrees it should be. Okay, let's correct that. So here we go, 67, and the speed's 48, 48, 51. So 148, 148, and 151. So 1,400 and 1,400 for the noise abatement, and then finally for the engine out, we can leave the default in there. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and grab a couple of charts. Boarding complete, that's very good. So, hello Navigraph. Okay, departure, Frankfurt, ground charts, and this is still really cool. I'm missing this in other aircraft. I mean, yeah. The charts are just, honestly, and the layout that Fenix have chosen, the only thing I miss is an automatic selection of charts. Apart from that, they've done a really good job on that. Really good job. Okay, so Maroon 3 risky departure, that's what we need. So, initial climb clearance, flight level 70. So let's move on to the FCU. QNH 1022. We'll select constraints. And climb at a flight level 70. Perfect. Okay, cool. So, very quick check to make sure that everything is correct in our departure. So let's compare charts and flight plan. We've got Delta Foxtrot 999, max 200 above 800 feet. That's what we have. Then 998, max 200 knots above 1690. Yep. Then 996, max 200 knots above 2670. That's what we have over there. Then we've got 995, max 230 knots above 3470. That's this one. And then we go on with 994, max 230 above 5600. Let's scroll forward a bit. Okay, so that is this one. And then we've got 992 above 6,000 feet. And that is 992 above 6,000 feet. And thereafter, Lisku, Tabum, Lixi, Lorpa, Maroon. So let's have a look over here. Lisku, Tabum, Lixi, Lorpa, Maroon. Perfect. So let's quickly check the rest of the route on our nav display. And that is looking good. Pretty much exactly as expected. Alright, perfect. So, that is pretty much all we need. Let's go ahead and start the APU, and then we can also do a little takeoff briefing there. And maybe most important, get GSX to start setting up, as we do certainly not want to waste any time on that. So, please prepare for pushback and departure. Okay, cool. So, then let's move on to the departure briefing. Okay, Frankfurt, runway 25 center, Maroon 3 Whiskey departure, climbing flight level 70. Mora is 4,300 feet all around, and extra fuel, we have 10 minutes, 300 kilograms. So, for the planned taxi, I do not believe there are any hotspots, but let's have a quick look. No, there are not. Stop margin for the rejected takeoff. Yeah, unfortunately that is something that I do not believe the Fenix EFB is calculating at the moment. That is part of the standard departure briefing though. But who knows, maybe the V2 of the EFB is going to do better on that. Okay, engine outset, we climb straight ahead to the Frankfurt X5 point. And I could actually put that into the X info page number 2 as well. So we've got Fra X5. Perfect. Okay, so Frankfurt X5, straight ahead, climbing 4,000 feet. And that should keep us safe. Okay, immediate return is possible. We are under the maximum landing weight. In terms of special operations, if we have a look at this, clean speed is 215. We've got a couple of 200 knot restrictions on here. I don't know why it puts an amber star next to those. I mean, it certainly should be able to fly those. So yeah, we're going to maintain flag 1 until we can accelerate at Delta Fox 995. Okay, do you see any threats for the departure? No? Perfect. Okay then. Ground cockpit, go ahead. Please disconnect external power. When parking brake is set, you can remove the chocks. Alright, cockpit preparation checklist. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity 4,100 kilogram balanced. Seatbelts on. ADRs. nav, baroref, QNH 1022. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. So let's quickly grab our load sheet. Resend, please. Thank you. So here we go with the load sheet. 61.1. So according to SimBrief, that would be overweight. However, we are totally fine with it over here because there are options for higher max takeoff weights. Okay, and zero fuel, CG 31.5. Okay, that's a takeoff weight of 65 tons, and we've got 65 tons on here, accept. Okay, so 30.4 is our takeoff CG. And that's what we've already calculated with. Perfect. Alright. Then we can leave our takeoff data as it is. And make sure that GSX prepares the airplane. Okay, so we are going to face west. So on to November 7. Alright, cool. Having through all doors in flight. So we just need the armed slides, which they are doing right now. Perfect. Okay, before start checklist. Parking brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 148, VR 148, V2 151, flex 67. Windows. Closed, beacon, on, before start checklist complete. Ground cockpit, clear to push, and parking brake off. Roger. So this is a little bit bright for my taste. Let's turn him down a bit. Yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? Alright, cool. So, that's certainly better on the display brightness. Then we are getting just about behind the red line, but there is no hurry to commence the engine start, since GSX is going to take a little while anyway. Okay, ground cockpit, clear to start? Clear to start. Engine 2 start. So, pushback, looks like they're about finished. Brake set, engine 1 start. So, engine start, fully automatic in the Airbus. Oh, did the avail light just come on now? I mean, that was very, very long of a waiting time. Normally, the avail light comes on very soon after the engines have stabilized, so you can see right now the starter is disengaged already, start valve is closed. So roughly now, the avail light should come on. Okay, ground. 2 good starts, clear disconnect, clear signal right with a pin, and have a good day. Bye-bye. Certainly don't need anti-ice today. Okay, after start checklist. Anti-ice, off, ecom status, checked, pitch trim, that's 30% set, rudder trim, neutral, and after start checklist complete. Flight control track, full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Okay. Clear left side, clear right side, Then let's go. Brake check. Pressure 0. Is it me or is that howling sound of the engines new? I don't think I've heard that before. Very nice that they've added this. Okay, so we go straight out, and then let me show you on the chart. We're just about over here, so we go November 7, Lima, and then probably Lima 6 intersection. Clear left side, clear right side. Okay, we follow November 7, and that means going around the corner to the left and then to the first right again. That's a little bit, yeah, not ideal. And we can take the orange line. You can see max wingspan 36 down there. If we are on the orange line over here, and there could be another aircraft on the blue line over there. As long as those are Cut Charlie aircraft with a wingspan of not more than 36 meters, we wouldn't have any problems with the wingtips. As you can see over here, we are well within the yellow center taxi line. Okay then. Okay, I don't have any updates to the takeoff briefing. Everything is exactly as we briefed it earlier. Okay, the cabin is ready. Taxi checklist. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, config 2. Radar and predictive wind shear. On and auto. Engine start selector, norm. Econ memo, takeoff no blue. Taxi checklist complete. Okay, so we are just about going over here, so Lima 6 is already the next one to the right, and we can certainly take that. So up there. Not the high speed over here, you can see this one has a no entry sign on it. We can take the next to the right. So important stuff for us for the takeoff. Let's see how it's going to rotate. Normally, you rotate an Airbus aircraft, and instructors have assured me that it works the same on pretty much all the models, as long as the trim is set correctly. Normally you rotate them by putting the cross of your side stick onto the 7.5 degree pitch marking, and that gives you a nice 3 degree rotation rate. So let's see how that's going to work. On the previous versions that didn't work too well, but Fenix have said that they did some improvements on the side stick required to get the airplane off the ground. So, clear left side, clear right side. Cabin crew prepare for departure. Line-up checklist. Takeoff runway. 25 Center Lima 6. TCAS. Tara. PAX 1 and 2. Off. Line-up checklist complete. Okay, are you ready? Takeoff. Man flag 67, SS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. 100 knots. Okay, so let's watch the rotation. If we put the pointer on the 7.5, we should get 3 degrees per second. So let's see how that's gonna work. V1 rotate. That's far too much. Okay, positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Oh boy, that was insane. I'm pushing forward and barely get a response. Okay, here we are. So, 15 degrees pitch. Might need a little bit less to gain that speed again. I got a bit overwhelmed from the rotation. I didn't expect that, to be honest. Okay, so I'm going to put the autopilot on. Previously it was very slow to start the acceleration, but this looks a lot better. So, thrust line climb, autopilot. Even though it stays quite a bit below flight director. Flaps 1, speed checked, flaps 1. Okay, let's see. Rate of acceleration looks good. We've got to maintain flap 1 for a bit until we pass the Delta Foxtrot 996 point over there, which has a 200 knot speed restriction on it. So I believe I pulled the stick a little bit too far, more like to the 10 degree mark, but that rotation was much too quick. At least for the given side stick input. I did trim the plane correctly, I believe. You're free to go back in the stream to recheck that I didn't mess up the trimming. And as long as the trim isn't messed up, that stuff should normally work quite fine. Okay, pack 2 on. And let's continue the climb, flight level 130. 13,000 blue. Okay, passing 996, flap 0, speed checked, flaps 0. Okay, we're accelerating again. The rate at which it pitches looks good to me. Now let's see the pitch up moment. In a turn, so a little bit more complicated for the autopilot. Set standard. Then I cross-check passing flight level 54. Now, checked. Okay, so the rate at which the autopilot is changing the pitch is looking very good to me now. That's certainly an improvement from the earlier versions. By the way, let's put on the terrain display and see if we have got a terrain peaks mode by now. Or if it is still the old non-peaks. That wasn't in the changelog or anything, so that's just me playing around here. But that looks good. So it looks like we do have a terrain peaks mode. So what that is, basically is when you're above a certain altitude, above the terrain, then it still shows you the highest peaks of the terrain around you. And you can see that it's doing this now. In previous versions, it didn't do that. Look at that, now you have terrain shown en route. That wasn't the case on previous versions, and it was something that I was really missing. The very early Airbuses, they didn't have the peaks mode, but after that, most of them did. Okay, pitching down, again, looks very good. The roll rate also looks rather fine. And accelerating, let's see if we can get a pitch up before we start accelerating above 100. Probably not. Nah, that was a bit too close to one another. Okay, here we go. 100. Pitching down just a bit more. The trend vector, yeah, looks about fine. Okay, cool. Let's release the passengers, even though it's just a very short flight, but let's at least give them the opportunity to see the toilet if they need to. Okay, nothing in the RATNAV, active to secondary. Cruise 220, optimum 350, max 379. And we can delete the fix info. Perfect. Okay, cool. Then let's continue to flight level 220. And that is our cruise level already. And at this point, looking at flight radar, normally we would get it direct to RPEC or maybe even to Domox, depending on the amount of traffic they have in Düsseldorf. For us, for now, let's go direct to RPEC. Let's see how the autopilot will handle that. And that's a smooth left turn. Very nice. That's what I want to see. Even though it looks like the autopilot kinda leads the flight director and not the other way around. Normally the flight director should lead the autopilot, but it looks like over here the autopilot is doing things first and then the flight director is responding to it. And for some reason it didn't auto-tune any VORs, did it? No. Okay, no idea why not. It should be doing that. Did I manually select anything? No. Oh, it's tuned Düsseldorf VOR. Yeah. Might be... We should be receiving that by now. Okay, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Okay, we're flying. Not for long though. Our top of descent is already 70 miles away, and I have a feeling we're gonna get it direct to Domox in a few moments, so it is going to get even closer. So, let's take the direct to Domox right now. Okay, Domox, insert. So, let's see. Domox, we need to be flight level 140, that is 8 miles for the descent. And 8 miles... sorry, that is 8,000 feet for the descent, so about 24 miles. So the top of descent here does certainly look realistic. So that is quite alright. So let's make good use of a bit of the time that we do have available in the flight. It is not a lot, to be honest, but we at least can prepare our approach. Okay, we need parking stand charts, we need airport charts. Then arrival, we've got the Domox 2-3 RNAV transition, and then finally let's go for the approach as well, and we've got the RNAV approach runway 23 right. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So let's request the latest weather. Düsseldorf, Meta, send. So previously there was a bug over here where if we click the message button now, it would just lead us, yeah, to a message display where there just isn't anything on it. And now if we return from this, then we be on this page, but we need to click we needed to click return twice. Let's see. Oh, same thing. Okay. So that bug is still in, it seems. Especially now you go to received messages and now you've already got the weather data, even though previously it just didn't show anything. So looks like that is still in as well. Okay then, doesn't matter though. Let's see what we have. 150 at 6, Carvok 22 degrees, 1020. Okay. 1020 is pre-selected. Approaching. Speed, vertical speed. The FMA looks very good, by the way. This looks very good up here. The fonts are indeed spot on, just like Fenix has been saying. Okay, 1000 to go. Checked. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of work up here. So, standard Airbus stuff. Before you start the briefing, you are going to check everything yourself. And only when that is done, you are going to start the briefing. So Dormux below level 140 is what we're expecting and is what we got. Then we've got the edge points 405, 220 knots, 406, 220 knots, 410, 220 knots. And that is indeed all what we've got up here. Okay, got a 409 in there as well. That's probably for the holding in case we need it. Okay. And then we are going to turn to the final. On-off approach, runway 23 right. Let's have a look into that as well, starting at Avecno. We've got Delta Lima 004 as intermediate fixed prior to that. That's probably not in here. No, it's not, but I am going to enter it, because I have a feeling that we are going to get a direct there. So, important thing, you must not modify the final descent in the Airbus FMC, but anything before that you can modify. So over here we've now got 230, runway 23 right, 3 degree glide, 3000 feet at Avecno. That stuff we must not modify, but prior to that we can insert waypoints as needed. And as you can see, the angle and FAF altitude and stuff do match up. Okay, for the missed approach, Delta Lima 005 has an overfly waypoint, turn right direct Lima Mike Alpha. So we've got 005 overfly, Lima Mike Alpha, and then 058 to bot top, climbing 4000. And as you can see, we've got, we should have 060 to bot top, climbing 4000. But 2 degrees is within an acceptable difference there. Alright, cool. So that's that. For the setup then, we can use bot top and Lima Mike Alpha. And that means we do not need any VORs on the arrival, so let's go straight for the NDBs. Okay, Düsseldorf 23 right, and then we can fill out the performance up there. Okay, so 150 at 6, 22 degrees, and 1020. Okay, we're going to do config 3 for the approach, landing flap 3 selected, and then finally our minimums. Let's see what we have. Kachali 532. Okay, perfect. So we'll take 532. Go-around phase is okay, fuel prediction is okay, secondary flight plan. We'll make it a copy of the active, but I'm going to insert the ILS approach runway 23 left in there. Okay. Perfect, so let's do a little bit of landing performance. Düsseldorf, 23 right, dry. Let's quickly refresh the latest METAR. Okay, landing weight, let's do a bit of calculation. 2.4 tons estimated, that means we're going to burn 400 kilos, so 63.5. 63.5. Low auto brake, flaps full, doesn't work. Okay, flaps 3 should work though. Reverser doesn't make a difference, okay, that's expected. Medium auto brake works. Okay. Well, normally you shouldn't combine auto brake medium with a flap 3 landing, but I just don't see any sense to do any different right now on that runway. So, for that reason, let's also take manual thrust. But low is just too long. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. The turnaround is gonna be long enough. Okay, so auto brakes medium, and then flap 3 we selected already, so we should be good to go. Right, cool. So that's pretty much all we can ask for the arrival preparation. So let's go ahead and start the approach briefing. MSA highest is 2800, Dormux 23 transition for an on-off approach runway 23 right, minimum Baro 532, go-around trajectory is via Delta Lima 005, Lima and Bottrop to 5000. Extra fuel, we have 42 minutes, 1.4 tons on board. Guidance for the approach is going to be most likely radar vectored. We'll use final approach mode for a flap 3 landing stop margin. Yeah, stop margin is somewhere in the region of about 400 meters. Reverses in idle and auto brakes medium. Planned runway exit, let me show you that real quick. Okay, decelerate, we're passing our top of descent. Let's start the descent. 140 initially. So, runway exit is going to be in Kilo 3, then we have to hold short of runway 23 left. That might be a little bit of a hotspot there, and thereafter we'll make a left turn Mike, Papa 1 to the Alpha gates over there. Nothing special, nothing non-standard. Threats for the arrival might be the flare of the airplane, so I don't know yet how it's going to flare, since they did quite some changes there, and they did actually write in the changelog that we should just go to default control settings and just take things as they are without changing anything around. So I wonder what that's going to look like, but I am certainly looking forward to it. Okay, and that's the arrival briefing complete. Any questions? No? Very good. So, seeing that we might get a shortcut, let's put the seatbelt sign on already. And then we're gonna see how that is going to evolve. So, normally, if there is no traffic around at this point, we'd probably get a shortcut. For the RNAV approach, we need to cross Regno on the final approach course, so we shouldn't accept the directs for anything closer than 2 miles prior to Regno. That's the reason I inserted the Delta Lima 004 point up there. And then we'll just have to see how things are gonna go from there. The plane tells me more drag. I do not agree though. We are about to catch the profile, so let's just click that away. So let's turn the altitude down a bit and see how the autopilot is going to behave. That's flat 0100 blue. So right now I'm just sitting here and watching. I want to know how the autopilot is going to do this. Basically, after Domux, it can soften out the descent, so we should see it fly right back onto the target speed when we overfly Domux. Okay, we've caught the profile back. Starting the turn onto the transition. And once beam Domux, the descent should soften out. The airplane should then stay in idle thrust until we reach our target speed again, and then it should be using descent thrust in order to keep the speed where it is. So what the airplane is about to do now is to enter a geometric descent path, which basically is a constant rate of descent from the flight level 140 that we were allowed to have at Domux all the way along the path to Regno, where it has the next hard altitude. Okay, speed. So you can see it's pitching up now, and now it's going to assume whatever rate of descent it has calculated previously that it would deem appropriate. Okay, for the speed it's maintaining 280 and a bit knots as defined by the cost index. Okay, perfect. That is exactly what the plane is supposed to do. So, let's pretend we are getting a shortcut now. Let's turn right onto a heading of, I don't know, call it 290 or 310 initially. So, heading, vertical speed. Thrust to idle, open descent. Let's go all the way down to 3000. Set QNH 1020. QNH 1020 cross checked, passing 12,500. Now, checked. Okay, direct to radial in, and it's gonna be on. We can take Regno straight away. Normally it should pre-fill the opposite of the approach course over here, and 050 looks about good. Yep, that looks like an extended center line to me. Insert. So, how high are we? 4,300. Well, then let's help it a little bit. Go full speed brake. So now we are pretty high on profile. You can see Regno 3000 is just about 11 miles away from us. We still have to decelerate. But I just about want to see what kind of performance the airplane can deliver to us. Let's just about turn downwind for a bit. 050. Now I basically just want to play around with the performance of the airplane to see what it can do. Come on. Here we go. Lights, constraints. We've got GPS primary, mode selector, norm. Perfect. Okay, so let's stow the speed brakes. 250 knots, idle thrust about level 100. We are looking for roughly 1,800 feet a minute. That's what the airplane should give us. So let's see if the new flight model is actually improving on the previous one. Previously it would have given us something in the region of roughly, let's call that something roughly in the region of 2,300, 2,400. So let's see, once the speed is stabilized, what we're gonna get now. Again, we're looking for roughly 1,800 feet a minute. The speed looks roughly stable, even though it is a tiny bit below target. Now slightly decreasing. Come on, autopilot, you can do better. So yeah, with the speed about stable, we still get more than 2,000 feet a minute. We are in a turn right now. That is obviously going to increase descent rate a little bit. So let's just about keep the speed and keep the angle of descent. And then we'll see how things are going to look like once the turn is over. But yeah, it's stabilizing at about 2,200, 2,100. I just can't imagine that just turning is going to add 300 feet a minute. I mean, it might, but let's see how that's going to look like when we roll out on... let's make that a heading off. Nope, nope. Come on. Give me a heading off at 220. Like so. In the meantime, as we're waiting, let's go ahead and read the approach checklist. Barrel ref, QNH 1020, seatbelts on minimum, Baro 532, auto brake, medium, engine start selector, normal, approach checks complete. Okay, so, come on, stabilize on speed please. So, time to pull the nose up and then tell me what you're gonna get, Airbus. Still 2,200, that is too much. That is certainly too much. So it's still got more drag in the new flight model than it should have. Well, that's a pity. Okay, let's turn left, heading... We need a 2-mile final, so heading 200 should do. Enough blue. And I'm not 100% convinced the diesel point should be floating there. Alt. Okay. Overflew the diesel point. So let's start the deceleration. Why is the lateral... What is that? Why is the lateral deviation deflected to the right? 0.8 miles to the right of... I mean, yeah, 0.8 miles to the right is correct, but that should be on the left, not on the right. Nav, and now it's centered. Okay, that was interesting. Also, look at the deceleration. We are now at green dot, and Regno is still 5 miles away. So, we lost like 40 knots in about 2 miles. That is much too quick. Much too quick. We should lose about or we should take about 1 nautical mile per 10 knots of airspeed in idle thrust. So we can say with certainty that the drag of the new flight model is still excessive. Okay, flaps 1. Speed checked, flaps 1. Okay, clear for the approach. Up now, final blue. So the descent arrow is located just over Regno, that is correct. That indicates that that is where the airplane plans to intercept the profile. But as you can see, the deceleration point was much too early for the amount of drag that the airplane actually had in the sim. Now, coming from the A330, I would have said that the deceleration point was actually located quite correctly, but the A330 has less drag than the A320. However, the difference shouldn't have been that great. Okay, the brick is coming alive. Speed final up.
2,500.
Go around altitude 4,000 set. I'm going to keep the autopilot engaged for a little bit, because it usually flies things a bit more accurate than a manual pilot does. And I do really not want to mess over the pitch power numbers myself, so let's go and have a look into this and see what we end up with. Weighted gross weight, roughly 63 tons, so on final we should be looking at 4 degrees pitch and roughly 51% N1. Let's see how good that is. Okay, flaps 2, speed check, flaps 2, gear down. Flaps 3, speed check, flaps 3, landing checklist, decom memo, landing no blue, landing checklist complete. I'll keep the autopilot engaged for a little bit. Let's see how it is going to stabilize. So again, we're looking at roughly 4 degrees pitch on a 3-degree glide slope and 51% N1. That is what we should be getting. And those numbers are straight out the flight with unreliable airspeed checklist in the QRH.
1,000.
Checked. Okay, what is it doing here? 1 degree pitch, 45%. Let's give it a little bit to stabilize. Two and a half degrees pitch now, still 44%. Okay, so that is what it's stabilized on. That is incorrect. Should be 4 degrees, 51%.
100 above.
Checked.
300.
Okay, let's go manual.
Minimum.
Thank you. Unfortunately, it looks like I messed up my autopilot disconnect button, so my apologies for the unconventional way of disconnecting the autopilot.
100. 50. 40. 20. Retard. 5.
Come on. Okay, well, that was a flare. That was a flare for sure. Oh, spoilers, reverse green. Decel. Manual brakes, let's have it roll a little bit further forward. We missed the exit we wanted to take, the flare was just a little bit too long there. Okay, so here we are. I'm not going to comment on the flare behavior yet, because I do want to do a couple more approaches and landings, just like Fenix are recommending. However, what I can say is that the pitch power numbers on the approach were definitely out of place. So that should have been something in the region about 4 degrees, 51%. We were somewhere around 2 degrees, 44%. So that is much too little drag at that point. At higher speed it has too much drag, and then in final approach config it seems to have too little. That is hopefully something they can work on. Okay, crossing 05 right. Overall, one should think that in order to correct the speed requirement or the thrust requirement on final approach, all you need to do is to increase the drag of the landing gear, you know? If you don't want to change the engine model, then just put a bit more drag to the landing gear, and then you would get the thrust requirement you need. Okay, so runway is vacated. I'm going to taxi a little bit slower because I want those 3 minutes of cooling time so that we can do single engine taxi. Because I want to feel if there's any change to that. But you know what, once the APU is up, we should have plenty of time available to do single engine taxi, especially seeing that engine cooldown requirements in the simulator are, well, neglectable, let's call it that way. Okay, we'll be parking on Alpha 2. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a GSX guy to do some marshalling for us. So Alpha 2, follow me, no thanks. Handling by Acciona today. Okay, APU avail. Yellow electric pump on, shut down engine 2. So let's see how the single engine taxi behavior feels like. With the number 1 in idle, obviously I'm not expecting too much of a force pushing us sidewards, but let's see how that's going to look like once we are through the turn and increasing thrust again. What I do like right now, we are taking a turn. We are losing a tiny bit of speed there, but not too much. I do believe it used to be a little bit more problematic. Okay, so we're out of the turn. Let's give it about 40% and 1. And then let's see how good or not we are going to accelerate. So, roughly 40%. Let's sit there and watch. 8 knots, 9. 10. That actually feels alright. That actually feels alright. So single engine taxi behavior, I can say I like it. I really like that. Okay, after landing checks, radar and predictive wind shear off, after landing checks complete. Okay, let's see, 10 knots, idle thrust, single engine. If we roll straight ahead, how is the speed gonna behave? I do expect it to drop very subtly, but not too much. Okay. Apu bleed on. 8 knots. 7. That feels alright. That feels alright. Okay, let's use a little bit of thrust there. Lights off. So, gate Alpha 2. Might need a bit thrust going around the corner. That is quite realistic. Alright. So we've got a guidance, A320 is on there. Stop. Perfect. Okay. Brake set, ARPU is on, shut down. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Oh, interesting. They opened the door with the slide still armed. Did you see that? Did you see that? They would have fired the slide. Great job. Okay, the door is open. That means release passengers, and then we can do the parking checklist. Parking brake shocks. Brake set, engines off, wing light off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. Okay, let's see, IRS behaving well, just a tiny bit of drift on numbers 2 and 3, that's fine. And that's it. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today's flight. I do hope you enjoyed this one. So what's my opinion of my first flight on the latest Fenix update then? Well, loads of great improvements there, including for example autopilot behavior, and single engine taxi felt quite good, and the overall way how the autopilot steered the airplane. There are a couple bugs still in, especially some of those that I encountered previously already, like the secondary flight plan, the saving of the route, the drag the airplane has below level 100, and that's especially something that bugs me a bit, because they've done a new flight model, but it still has too much drag. Well, on the other hand side, on a very positive note here, you might remember my live stream, A Day in the Life of a Eurowings pilot, and on that one we also flew the RNAV approach runway 23 right, and on that one it got us in hopelessly too high, and the airplane basically didn't fly it. On this one, it perfectly flew us down the approach, so I really have to congratulate them that they got that one right. Okay, so overall, what's my opinion of the Fenix V2 Block 1 update then? Overall, it is a good update. It did introduce a couple new bugs, as is expected and as Fenix have wrote themselves, so we've got to sit back now and see how they're going to solve those. Most certainly I'm going to send them reports of everything that I've encountered in this flight, and then we just about have to see on how things are going to evolve. They did say that they do anticipate a couple more updates needed, but on the other hand side, the displays are looking superb, the autopilot behavior is greatly improved, and overall the airplane does make a much more solid impression. I'm going to do a separate video on terms of flight dynamics, so those are not going to be part of my summary down here. So that is going to include stuff like the handling of the plane and so on. So that's going to be part of for a separate video. But in the meantime, I am very eager to look forward to what you think about the plane. Do you think that Fenix have done an excellent job, or do you say like, nah, there's too much of the old stuff still left in here? Very much looking forward to hear what you have to say. And if you did like the video, then do leave a like on YouTube, as it does help with the algorithms. And finally, if you are up for more, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. If you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description down below. And in the meantime, I'd like to say thank you very much, and I see you all again on the next one.